So what do you do when God tells you to keep walking around a wall that hasn't moved? Like you're obeying him, but nothing is happening. Let's jump into Joshua chapter 6, verses 1 through 20, right? So it tells the story of the Israel's first major battle entering the promised land. So after wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, the Israelites finally arrive at Jericho, and God tells them to march around the city once a day for 6 days, and on the seventh day they march around, and at God's command, the people shout, and the walls of Jericho collapse, allowing them to take the city. So to understand Jericho, we have to understand where Israel is. So for 40 years, they've been wandering in the wilderness. An entire generation has died, and now they are finally standing at the edge of the promised land. The promise is in sight, but they can't get to it because of the wall, and that wall is Jericho. So why does Jericho matter? Jericho wasn't just another city, it was a fortress. So historians believe Jericho had massive walls designed to keep enemies out. So from a human perspective, Israel had a problem. They had a promise from God, but a wall stood physically between them and that promise. And it isn't that how life goes sometimes. It's like, you know what God promised you? You know what you've been believing for, but all you can see is the obstacle. And it just won't go away. So maybe your wall is the healing that hasn't happened yet, or the breakthrough that hasn't come, or the grief that you are still carrying, or the financial situation that has not changed. Maybe it's the relationship you are praying over, the anxiety that you're fighting, the addiction you're trying to overcome. You know God made you a promise, but the wall is still standing. So now, if I were Joshua, I would expect God to give him a military strategy, right? A battle plan, weapons to attack Jericho. But instead, God says, walk around it. That's it, walk around it once a day for 6 days, and on the seventh day, walk around and then shout. So for 6 days, they walk and nothing changes. No cracks, no movement, no evidence, no breakthrough, just obedience, right? Most people don't quit because God fails. They quit because they don't see the progress. And we want visible evidence. We want immediate results. We want confirmation, but faith often requires obedience before the promise. So the greatest battle at Jericho, it wasn't outside the walls, it was inside the people. Because every day they had to get up. They had to decide to get up and say, will I trust what God said, or will I trust what I see? So some of you have been praying, you've been trusting, you've been showing up, and the walls look exactly the same. But just because you can't see movement doesn't mean God isn't working. So then comes day 7. The people shout, and suddenly the wall falls. The big fortress came down with a shout. Not because Israel was powerful, not because the strategy was brilliant. The walls fell because God was faithful. The wall fell after consistent obedience. Every lap that they took around the wall mattered. Every step mattered. Every day mattered. Even the days that looked unproductive. Amen. So keep being faithful in your walk. Even if you don't see any visible progress, know that God is working behind the scenes on your breakthrough.